Welcome back to the Science Fictionary podcast. I'm Andrew. I'm here tonight with Daniel, and maybe David will come back. I don't know. He's, you know, technical difficulties.
Yeah. Story of our lives here lately. It's always one or the other of us.
Yeah, I mean, you connect this many people for every show. I guess you're going to have problems occasionally, but we're here to talk about Hawkeye episode 5 with just one episode left. I mean, we got our finale tomorrow morning.
Yes.
I kind of hate that it's only 6 episodes. I'm really loving this show.
Right. It feels like they never get the links right. Like I mentioned a couple of episodes of the podcast ago that when they had the Netflix shows, we always felt like they ran like 12 episodes when they should have been 8. And something like Wheel of Time was only 8, and it probably would have been better to have it be 10 or 12. And then this one, you just want it to this needs to be a regular network. Give it 25 episodes a season and let it run forever. This one is.
Yeah, no, it's a really good show. I mean, I expected to like this one because I like Hawkeye, but I honestly didn't expect this. I mean, with one episode left, I think it's my favorite of the MCU shows, the Disney Plus shows.
It is.
I just feel like from top to bottom, it's the best told story.
Yes. I agree.
But getting into episode 5, I mean, we got the reveal. I think we all knew was coming, but
yeah, it was not. You don't want to criticize it. We just stood here and talked about how great the show was.
Oh, I don't think it's bad. I just think that
it was build up and no payoff because everybody knew it was coming, and really it took away from really what the bigger reveal should have been is the fact that Eleanor is a villain, but a lot of people kind of picked up on that already too, especially if you knew the comic. She's a bad guy in the comic, so you kind of knew that was coming, but even that should have been a bigger reveal than Kingpin, because Kingpin was telegraphed probably in the second episode, right? Second or third episode.
Yeah, I mean, pretty early on they were kind of dropping clues.
You're right. So everybody knew that was coming. So you really sort of took away from what should have been the bigger reveal, and even it really wasn't that big a deal because a lot of people saw that coming too.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that we needed anything like that. I'm glad Kingpin's in the show. Love Bessa D'Onofrio. Glad we're getting that. I'm not sure we needed them to build up to some kind of big moment because the drama to this show comes from Clint and Kate, and it comes from Yelena and her trying to figure out how she's sort of been manipulating what's really going on, and she lost 5 years, and and then Echo, which I can't say enough about Echo. This woman, I don't know where they found her, but she's awesome. I am totally in love with the fact that she is who she is. She does a great job portraying this character. And I'm actually a show I didn't care at all that they announced. I'm actually excited for now.
Right.
And that's where the drama comes from. It's her dealing with her stuff and Yelena, and most of it obviously comes from Clint and Kate. And we don't need these big aha moments. They can carry the show just telling the story, just letting those characters interact. The characters in this show are so good, and they have such good chemistry.
Yeah, to David's making a comment here in the chat. I guess that means he's still having technical difficulties. But, yeah, I mean, I really feel like it was upstaged by the reveal of Yelena Belova in the previous episode. Like, right. I feel like that one was, I mean, we knew she was going to show up at some point too.
Right.
But they introduced her kind of in a place you didn't expect her to show up. And I don't know. I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't think this one needs the big twists and surprises.
No, just let the characters drive this show because the characters they're that good.
So I mean, going into this episode, what did you enjoy? What were your favorite parts of this episode?
Um, Obviously, Kate and Yelena eat macaroni.
Mm-hmm.
That is just that is such a great scene. And then whenever you go and you read Bert and Bertie's comments about it and how much of that scene was really constructed by those two actresses,
Right.
or actors or whatever, by those two people during that scene, just makes it even better. And
Yeah.
and that's what the directors talked about, was they gave each other so much to work with. So I really enjoyed that. And they were able to make that fun and still build tension around it.
Yeah.
Made it a really interesting scene. And I really also like the direction this episode sends Echo off in.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot. Like I said, I'm actually excited for that show now because I've enjoyed that character way more than I thought I would.
Right.
So that was actually probably my favorite thing the show did was the direction it sent Echo. But as far as just an enjoyable moment, it's the stuff with Kate and Yelena.
Okay. Yeah, no, they did a great job. They played off each other really, really well. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of that. I also really liked the pre-credit opening scene
Yeah.
with Yelena and I forget the girl that was with her's name. I think they only mentioned it like once. That went with her
Yeah.
to doing what picks up right where Black Widow left off. They're freeing the widows, and now that character that they meet, do we have any reason to believe she's anyone of significance or just a plot point? And
No, not that I picked up on. I think
okay,
she's just a widow that they knew, or a former widow,
yeah,
and they didn't realize. I mean, I think that is what it is on the surface. I don't have any and pick up on any sort of reference to her being a character we should know or have any kind of importance.
okay.
I think
I
that
just
is what it appeared to be.
okay. Now that scene, the blip, when the blip occurs, the way that they showed that is one of the coolest visuals in all of the MCU, not just on TV. I mean, that was a really, really incredible way because we've seen it happen. We saw it in Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it in WandaVision, and we got a little bit different look. We saw somebody come back in WandaVision.
Yes.
And then
from the person's point of view, and
from the point of view, and we see them go and come back, and that moment passes instantaneously.
And to them, that's what it felt like. So that
Right.
was really well done.
Yeah, that was a really, really cool shot. And I love that setup. Kind of setting the episode up to kind of be Yelena, to put us in her perspective for most of this episode.
Right.
And she's great. I mean, we knew she was going to be great. I mean, she was probably the highlight of the Black Widow movie.
It was not even a probably. She was definitely the highlight of the Black Widow.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good movie to say she was.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's the thing is, I really like the other actors in that, but she was, she did more than carry her own weight in that.
Absolutely.
But let's see. So where did we go? Let's see. Okay, what is? David's a little concerned.
What do you think?
David said that the blip scene was really awesome. It makes me feel scared that I might suddenly be blipped and not even realize it. But yeah, I mean, I think we're really, Rose saying, it seems the story's really ramping up with one episode left, and I agree. But actually, that's probably a good point to kind of aside from where this episode was on its own to where is it going? Like, we've opened up a lot of loose ends. Hey Nick, welcome to the chat. Glad you were able to join us. But which loose ends do we tie up, and which ones lead into other series? Like, I feel like the only thing we have to really tie up is dealing with the Ronin situation and the Watch and how that ties in.
Right. See, I
And
don't think the Ronin situation is really anything left to tie up. I think
well,
the
see
only
that
thing really left to tie up is the Watch. Everything else, because what's going on with Ronin is just the idea that for whatever reason, Kingpin wants him dead. Kingpin wants everybody dead,
right,
and what Echo's dealing with, and he's already started to turn Echo. Echo's already started to figure it out. So I think that just leads off on her own show. I think the only thing really needs to be tied up is the Watch,
yeah,
and I don't think it'll take much to sort of. I don't necessarily know that Clint and Yelena leave this show on good terms,
yeah.
but I don't think we'll leave the show with her actively trying to kill him.
Right. Because, I mean, the
So
thing is, like, we found out a lot of people are villains, but we know we're doing something with Kate Bishop after this is all over. So, I feel like, you're setting up her villains, and we don't have to
yeah,
solve any of that in this. The one question I really have as far as, like, do you wrap it here, or how far do you go in this series with the Elena situation?
I think you go just far enough that she realizes Clint didn't kill Natasha. I think you get to a point where she'll accept what happened, um, and that's where you leave it. They're not necessarily on good terms, but she's not actively trying to kill him.
Okay.
And then I think wherever that leads with uh, Allegra and what's going on there, where she's sort of been in the background of a couple of these MCU shows, or
Right.
at least she was a Falcon Winter Soldier. I think we'll see that sort of play out uh, either in another MCU show that maybe we don't know we're getting yet, or in a further film. We'll see that play out later. That's not something you have to wrap up now. The
Right.
only thing you can wrap up now is what's happening directly with Clint.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think you're right that I think maybe you've gone far enough to wrap the Ronin situation up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to solve the issue of the watch.
He just didn't want the legacy of Ronin and what he did in that suit to continue and cause problems for anybody else.
Right.
So he's got to, and he's pretty close to killing that. He's already the biggest issue there was Echo wanting her vengeance, and he's kind of started to flip that in this episode.
Yeah. Um let's see. So what happens after Clint leaves, or after Yelena leaves Kate's apartment? We've got Hawkeye has gone to stay with Grills.
Mm-hmm.
We do that in this episode. But I mean, I guess the big moments. I mean, what are the other big moments in this episode that need to be discussed? I mean, we make some connections, but I mean, really, I think him going and to the plaque on the bridge where the Avengers first assembled, and kind
Yeah.
of sorting things in his mind with Natasha. I thought that was a really nice scene. I like the way they did it. I like that, he's a lot of people are like, what's he apologizing for? Because he didn't actually do anything in the Ronin suit,
We
but he
apologize for
put
what he
it
was
back
about to
on.
do.
Well, he
Right.
put it back
Exactly.
on, which was I think, really, he didn't even want to put it back on because of what it meant.
Exactly.
Also, I think by putting it on, he was willing to do what he had to do once it was on.
I think what he was, and to go a little deeper, what he's apologizing about is Natasha put herself out there to sort of save Clint from being Roman. And I think he sort of felt like he was dishonoring her in some way by going back to it. That's what that was about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And then the conversation with Laura follows that, which is another big. Laura is way more than we were ever, you know, than we ever thought she was originally, for sure. Like, how far that goes, I don't know. I'm still not convinced that one of those shots of the Ronin suit in Clint's flashback isn't her. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, as far as my predictions going into next week, I think we're going to find out that she wore the Ronin suit before Clint did.
That would be interesting. I haven't even given that a thought.
Where they go with that, I don't know. But I think that there's a shot that I keep going back to that is definitely not Clint in the suit.
I'll have to go back and look again.
I'll see if I can find the screenshot. I had a lot of trouble freezing that shot, but it's. I mean, so Clint goes, puts the Ronin suit on. He goes to have his confrontation with Echo. Oh, before we get there, the way Clint lets Echo know to be there
Yeah.
was that whole lead up. That conversation between the two tracksuit guys may have been the best tracksuit
Well,
conversation.
that was awesome. Yes.
Yes, Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
Like,
Like the Royal Tenenbaums. I said, yeah, you do. But I love the music. I love the music they're playing during that conversation too. That was hilarious. You see the van going down the street. Da, 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 da. That just added to the moment. This whole show, like everything just works so well together.
yeah,
Um,
no, and I mean they've done some really great. I mean, there's little Die Hard references scattered through the whole series, which I love because I mean everybody when you first saw that first trailer for this show, you went, "It's Die Hard." Like, and we're going to the tower this episode tomorrow. We're going to the Christmas party.
right? Yeah, that's going to be good. But it has absolutely a lot of trailers can be kind of misleading. The trailer for this show was not. It is this show is absolutely 100% the vibe the trailer gave you, and that's been the most enjoyable thing about it. That from that first trailer, we even talked about it. This is the vibe I want for this show.
Yeah,
This is perfect. Like Clint he's just done. He's so done. He just wants to get home for Christmas. Why do all these problems? Why is this even his problem? Like just being completely, just kicking back with the bag of peas on his head, and that shot's in the trailer. But it's the same kind of thing. We're just like, oh, I mean, like I'm too old for this shit.
yeah.
That's it's. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I mean, the thing is with this show is like I've always been a Jeremy Renner fan. He's a fantastic actor,
Oh yeah,
and he's always been great as Hawkeye. He's not a lot of people's favorite Avenger because
oh,
he's
yeah,
just a
yeah, no,
he's just a dude. But he also was always a side kind of a background character.
exactly. The
But
most focus he got, which was Age of Ultron, which I like a lot. A lot of people think it's one of the weaker MCU films. I disagree, but that was kind of the thing. Was um that's the most character development that character got, and the most screen time Jeremy Renner got
yeah,
was happened to be in that movie that most people think is one of the weaker ones. So he just kind of gets forgotten about.
yeah,
But I don't think he deserves that at all. He is a great actor. Um, I, I always feel like I mention this stuff too much when I say it, but he's nominated for the Academy Award for a reason. He's that good. Have you not? And
right,
if you haven't, and the freaking town, by the way, is just phenomenal. He's great in that. And we always talk about the talent MCU's able to get. Um, there are there are three actors in this movie who've been nominated for Academy Awards. I mean,
Right.
in this TV show,
Yeah.
and we got to see two of them interact on screen together, which was, like we've said, one of, if not the best scene in the show so far.
Right. Yeah. I mean, um, but I love, I love Clint's character. I love the way they've developed it. I've actually been reading the Matt Fraction, uh, the some of the comics just because I keep hearing people talk about it in relation to this show, and so I've gone back and I love the way that even though his character was like that they took his character, even though his character was very different at a very different place in life when in those comics than he was here, they still managed to make it all work and not feel forced.
Right? Yeah, no, exactly. They
Um,
they've done a very good job adapting that.
right. And then Kate Bishop, prior to this series, a character I was not all that familiar with, but she has just absolutely killed it in that role.
Hmm.
I mean, just to be doing one of these TV series, to be a new character for a lot of people, and is rapidly becoming a lot of people's, a favorite character for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So,
and and she is a great character, and it's she's one of the things I get a little bit concerned with the idea that we're going to bring in all these younger actors to and characters to carry on the mantle of some of these characters. And a lot of
yeah,
people are alluding to that maybe the MCU is leading up to a Young Avengers uh, type of story. The issue I have there is a lot of those younger characters that I would expect them to use aren't very interesting.
right.
I do not like this. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm not a fan of Riri Williams as Ironheart, which was sort of the younger generation version of Iron Man.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's
it,
an interesting one because actually, I don't think there's a lot of fans there
no,
of that character. And so I do wonder where they're going to go with it because, I mean, they obviously know that character wasn't a really well received comic book character. So I am
correct.
curious to see how they're going to kind of reinvent that character.
But you would expect that to kind of be the next one because obviously Tony's gone. Um, but the point I was trying to lead into was I think they did it right by choosing to use Kate first. If you're going to introduce that generation of those versions of these characters, Kate was the right one to use. And Haley Steinfeld has absolutely nailed it. She was, again, I keep heaping praise on MCU for their ability to cast the right actors in the right roles, but this is another one they nailed.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what Rose talking about pizza and Tim Burton over here. You're off topic, Ro. Oh, and Megan, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining us. But I do think that as far as the new characters, like the what I expect to be the Young Avengers here at some point whenever they announce what they're doing there, it's she's probably one of the ones I'm most excited that at this point that they've brought on board for that. As far as these younger characters.
Yeah, yeah. No, you would absolutely expect her to. This isn't the end for that character. And I don't think they ever planned for it to be.
Right. Um. Let's see. So, what did you think about the scene, like the confrontation between Hawkeye and Echo?
Um, I enjoyed it. Like I already said, that was one of the things that, other than my favorite moment in the show being Elena and Kate together, my favorite thing this show did was where it was the path it set Echo on. Um, so I did enjoy that part of it. I think as far as just the scene itself, it's another well done action scene.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't as exciting as the car chase, um, and it wasn't. I don't think I don't put it with the rooftop fight we got in the previous episode. But I like the conversation between Hawkeye and Echo, and I like
Right.
what that sets up. So I'm glad we got there.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm real glad about that. I'm glad to see, the other scenes, I guess kind of the things we didn't talk about. I mean, most of these scenes were a little bit slower, more conversation this week. And so it was only actually a handful of real scenes that you can identify as separate scenes. Really about the only things we didn't really talk about. And I only mentioned this because I thought they kind of did some interesting things with the camera work was when Kate goes back to her old room and her mom's trying to kind of talk her, trying to talk her down, does Clint think you're a superhero? And everybody else has kind of played into her delusions of grandeur, and she's kind of trying to talk her down because she knows she's fixing to get in the middle of something that's going to be bad.
Right.
But I love that scene, and when you really watch it, when Kate's in her room alone, and a lot of things like Kate in particular, it's a very soft focus. The scene's almost a little blurry until she looks at their bow, her first bow hanging there on the wall, and when she remembers who it is that she wants to be, and when she has this realization that she's not going to let someone talk her out of it, the whole shot goes clear, like very sharp focus. And that's as a camera nerd, that's just what I wanted to talk about because it's a really cool way of visually, without saying anything, showing what's going on in the character's mind.
That was sort of what was going on in her head, exactly.
So I guess now, I mean, that's pretty much covers the episode, but what... Oh, we do have a troll. Her first troll, Daniel. Let's block that user. There we go. Goodbye, troll. Oh, I don't even know. It was like a link or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
No, right. It was like spam trolls.
Oh, okay.
So I guess really from here, one episode left, like what do we think we are looking at for this finale?
I have no idea. Honestly, I don't. I would expect something along the lines of everything culminating in Kingpin's penthouse. Again, we've seen that before in other shows.
Right.
But I guess we're going to see it again. And you might actually get to see some cooperation between, Kate and Hawkeye with Yelena. Because like I said, I think somewhere in the build up to that, Hawkeye and Yelena are going to come to some kind of terms together.
So Ro asked, what about the rumors about Spider-Man popping up? Well, Daniel hasn't actually seen Spider-Man yet. But I will just say that would be absolutely shocking to me if Spider-Man showed up. I think that if anyone else, I don't see any reason to bring another character in. I think all the chips are on the table, right? Like, who else would you even bring in at this point? We haven't actually physically had Kingpin there yet, but I suspect we will see him in this episode. And, but outside of that, who else would you bring in unless you decide to pop Daredevil in there?
That's the one I was going to say. I don't expect that either, but that's the one that makes the most sense.
If they do Daredevil,
other characters involved.
Yeah, if they add Daredevil, I think he'll be in a post-credit scene. I think that we've gone through our whole build-up, and our big finale is going to be with the cards that we've already played. So,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see where they go. But I feel fairly certain that we will actually have some Kingpin in this episode.
Right.
Does Clint make it home for Christmas?
Yes. Yes, he can't not. Yes, he's going to
Yeah.
make it home somehow. I mean, but are we not like? Isn't it like Christmas Day already? Like, or is it just Christmas Eve now? I
I
don't lost
think
track.
this. I think this one will be Christmas Eve.
Okay, he's going to make it. He's going to make it. Yes, he can't not make it. You can't. You can't end the show that way. That's all the man wants is to get home for Christmas. Come on, give Hawkeye one good break.
Well, Marisha finally made it home. We're about done here, but
Yep, you've missed everything.
you did. You missed it all.
Alas.
But you're here in time to tell us what you expect to see in tomorrow's finale.
Ooh, what do I expect to see in tomorrow's finale? I think that David may be right about Kingpin. A very Kingpin heavy finale, David says. And I don't know if I necessarily think that's what we're getting, but I kind of hope that we do. I'm kind of hoping.
Do you think Kingpin's going to be at the Christmas party?
I mean, I think that the Christmas party is where it's all going down. I think that we're not. They've talked about it too much. I think that there is going to be much drama at the Bishop Company Christmas party, and I think we're finally going to see Kingpin. I think maybe even Val will be there. Wouldn't that be fun? I think we're going to see a lot more underworld characters that we know are underworld characters, but Kate doesn't. That's my prediction.
I think that, I mean, obviously we're setting Kate up to do her own thing down, going forward. So I do think that we put all the chips on the table and, fully identify our villains. So,
and with any luck, maybe we'll even have a blind lawyer.
And I don't even know if Kingpin's really going to be one of her villains going forward, but he's going to play heavy in, we've got this Echo series. We know that Daredevil's coming back. We know several things. So we have several reasons to believe that introducing him here, he doesn't even have to play in to this episode. Just to know he's there is a big deal. But I do think that he's going to play fairly heavy in this episode. But I think we're going to see Jack in action as swordsman.
I think that Jack has totally been set up.
Well, yeah, no,
I think Jack has been played, but he's definitely still going to be a villain.
Even the character of swordsman is kind of a gray sort of thing. He's always been kind of campy, which is exactly the way Jack, the person, he's a campy human being.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
The character's kind of campy, but he's always sort of been villain, hero. He was actually one of Hawkeye's mentors in the comics. Like it's all sort of. So that's one of the characters they could do anything with. As long as they keep playing him goofy and stupid, I'm happy with it.
Okay, so what if we don't get Jeremy Renner in the next episode or in the next season? What if Jack realizes that he's been a patsy and he and Kate team up?
I mean, at this point, Jack's a wild card.
Yeah, Jack's a wild
because at this point, Jack may feel like he's been thrown under the bus by Eleanor.
Yeah, you think?
Well, it depends on if he's all in on it.
Right.
I mean, were the cops that arrested him even really cops? Like,
yeah,
he very well could be all in on it. He's completely overplaying. They understand why you called the cops, darling. I'd have done the same thing. He's 100% overplaying that.
I've never worked a day in my life.
Right. But I'm probably telling the truth. But anyway, it's just, but it could go either way. That character has been portrayed as so sort of aloof the whole time that it's kind of hard to tell if he really is a fool or if it's all caginess. I don't know. He very well could just be Eleanor's patsy, as Marisha said, or he very well could be in on it. I have got no clue. That will be that's the only thing this show could do, because every surprise this show's tried to set up hasn't been a surprise. Whatever direction they go with Jack is going to be a freaking surprise. So they got one right without trying to. Everything they tried to set up, we all saw coming.
Right.
Yeah,
and I mean, at this point, I don't even know what kind of twist you could have. I mean, I do think that we've got several people who might have doubts cast on what side they're on in all of this at this point with Echo and even Yelena to an extent. At least where Kate's concerned. I mean, we know her. She has no intention of actually killing Kate.
No, she doesn't.
She seems to kind of like Kate because she texted her and told her Eleanor Bishop is the person that hired me. You know, she clearly has some respect for Kate.
Yeah, but I also think that's a little bit of a because she told her you need to think about the character of the people who've hired you. So Yelena wants to let her know you need to worry about the character of your mom. Then, you know.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit of a dig, but also I don't know that Yelena would have gone through even worrying about who hired her and trying to dig deeper into it unless Kate had started to get into her head a little bit. So
Right.
that's why I say that Yelena's going to flip by the end of this next episode.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't think that she and Clint are going to part on necessarily good terms, but she's not going to be actively trying to kill him.
Yeah.
So,
She's not going to fill her contract to kill Clint.
No.
I agree with that. I think that.
Deal with her Allegra in another show.
Yeah, I think for now they fully intend to leave Yelena with. I don't know if they're doing Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts or what they're working on with that stuff, but I expect them to leave her there. I don't think they went through the trouble of setting her up. You know, of that final scene, that cut scene from Black Widow, if they weren't going to leave her there for a little bit.
Right.
And this may be the future. You know, in the comic books, you have a lot of people who kind of shift back and forth between what side they're on. Even a lot of, I mean, and you know, we've got a lot of heroes that are currently in the MCU that have in the comics floated back and forth between being heroes and sort of villains. And maybe we're going to start seeing some characters actually play that way in the MCU. Where you're never quite sure whose side they're on.
Get a little more.
Gotta get some Jack Sparrow characters.
Bring Jack Sparrow into the MCU. That'd be weird.
But no, like that's the quintessential like Jack thing.
But they
like,
should bring Johnny
whose side
Depp
is he
into the
on?
MCU.
You know, that's always the big question.
I don't even know who Johnny Depp could play in the MCU, but I'd be all down for it.
Anybody.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's got way more like he does weird very well, but he's also got a lot of range for more normal kind of characters.
Yeah. Well, anybody have any more thoughts on this episode or the episode 5 or what's coming in episode 6 before we wrap up?
Our kids are super excited about Iana says, I can't wait for tomorrow. I said, why? I mean, it's 5 days before Christmas. Like, what's so good about a Wednesday? She says, Hawkeye comes out.
Yeah.
So,
and it's one day closer to Book of Boba Fett.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will be back sometime soon for Johnny Depp from Mephisto. There we go, David.
That's helpful.
That's actually not a bad idea.
No, it's actually not. That's funny.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be back sometime right away to talk about
Other things.
episode 6.
And hey, we got to talk
we can't talk
Wheel
Spider-Man
of
because
Time.
Daniel hasn't been yet.
Daniel.
Y'all can talk it without me. I can't help it.
Sorry, man. I'm just
bad
giving you a hard time.
I know.
Got to give you grief. But
We
we got to talk Wheel of Time. You
We
have
got
watched
Wheel
that.
of Time. Dude, Wheel of Time, Marisha. Just being you, we've got to talk Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Well, Rob is hitting me
Yeah,
up
sure.
pretty regular to come back.
I don't know,
This
but
is-
I was gonna say, we got Spider-Man, we got Wheel of Time, we got Witcher. Witcher just came back. We've
Yeah.
got the Deep Space Nine stuff to talk about with David. His first time viewing of Deep Space Nine. It's been a while since we did David's first watch of a Star Trek show.
Yeah, and we've still got we haven't talked Ghostbusters yet. We've got a lot of stuff to
There's a
cover.
lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Really just one big show.
Oh, that'd be a really
God,
long
let's
show.
not.
Well, we can record every night this week. The only other option.
It's true. Well, we'll be in touch.
And we
But
have
I think that Scarif is going to be going live here in a few minutes.
What?
Right? Isn't that what I just saw?
What?
Whenever Ro checked out, did he say Scarif was going to be going live in a few minutes?
Is Scarif live tonight?
I thought that's what he said. Oh, Scarif record. Nah, they're recording. They're like, never mind. Don't hop over to Scarif. They're not doing anything.
I know who can tell us if she's still in the chat. Lunar Girl, is anyone else live after us tonight? And we'll see if she answers before we finish up. But I'm not totally sure if we will be back to talk Hawkeye before. I guess we might make it back this week, but we'll see.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we're the tail end of the Red 5 shows for the evening. So I don't have anywhere to send you when you leave here. But anyway, in case we don't make it back to talk Hawkeye episode 6 before Christmas, Merry Christmas. Thank you to everybody that joined us in the chat tonight. It's always great to see all of you in the chat. Daniel, where can people find you online?
Dan C. Peeps at Twitter. I'm
All right.
sorry. At Dan C. Peeps on Twitter.
There we go.
That's how that works.
Yes.
Marisha.
You interneted. I am princesses _and _Padawans on Instagram, and I am P Padawans on Twitter.
All right, and as always, you can find our show, the Science Fictionary podcast, or Coruscant Radio Underground, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can drop us a line at the sciencefictionary@gmail.com. Hey, Nick, is she... Okay, Inside the Booth is live. Yeah, go join our friends over at Inside the Booth. They are live, according to Nick, and you'll definitely want to check that out. It's a great new channel.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
Sorry.
So yeah,
Distracted
I'm totally thrown off now. But you can find our show. You can find the rest of the Red 5 Podcast Network at red5network.com or at Red 5 Network on Twitter. And until next time, have a Merry Christmas and have a very good night. And you know, at some point, I'm gonna find my button to get me out of here. Like, where's my
in broadcast, right?
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.